Okay, to just take it that extra half step forward to finish this design. This was a design that I did in a prior video this morning, importing DXF files from a couple different flavors of software. Just a standard DXF, a CorelDRAW created DXF, and a Gerber DXF. I've nested it, but I had mentioned in the other video that I have to rotate this. The SmartBench, we have to rotate this whole thing 90 degrees to have it fit the XY setup of the SmartBench. So if I'm doing a 4x8 sign, I have to visualize it this way so that I can see it. If I'm nesting it, it doesn't matter. But when I imported the files, they came in, ABC signs, ABC across the top, and then signs across the bottom, wide to fit the material. I showed in the other video that you could scale it to whatever size letters you wanted, blah blah blah. So what do we do now? I need to send this to the machine. So I'm going to go back into the design mode, and I will change my material setup here, the job dimensions and origin. I'll click that, and I'm going to change the material so it's 48, 49, depending on what your material is, by 96. And I tell it OK. So there's my material base. It warned me because it's going to recalculate everything automatically. And so it's going to calculate everything. But I'm going to also grab this, the nest that I had, and also rotate it 90 degrees. And then I can place it where I want. Since that's already, all those parts are loose, I basically want to center it and then just nudge it down. They're all highlighted. I can use my down arrow and set it up and scroll in. I could measure an offset line from here, but I'm just going to drop it down. So I have room to screw this material into my spoil board or into my indexing jig. There's a separate video on that. Search Yeti Tool Southeast in YouTube. Look up the indexing jig. That's a quick and easy way to set up multiple sheets onto the machine very quickly, full-size sheets, full-size machining, and have it indexable. And you screw it into a replaceable little panel. Very simple. So that's that. And then I hop over, and I would always recalculate it. I don't have to double click on it. I could just go to the recalculate all toolpaths. It's working. It warns us it's going to cut through. All toolpaths are successfully recreated, and we're ready to cut. Now I would save it by clicking on the Save toolpath. I would put it to the same job. I don't know that I've actually saved this. I haven't. So I would save that to a toolpath. I'd click here. I'm not going to show the customer's name that sent me the files, but that's the process. Save it, and it's going to save it as profile cutout P25 end mill in that .g code, in that directory that I'm saving it in. Very simple. To send it to the machine, I'd flip it over using Smart Transfer or FileZilla, whichever way you want to do it. FileZilla gives you a little more control, and you can create folders on the console and then drop them into specific folders if you're staging 3 different jobs that you have to cut in a day or whatever, as opposed to just dropping individual files. So if I'm going to drop individual files and use Smart Transfer, I would probably rename this again, and I would rename it, and I call this ABC because that's the job name, and this is the first file I'm going to cut. So when I send this to the console, all the ABC jobs, I could have another sheet with different letters or different colors or whatever. And if I rename it this way, all the ABC job stuff would be together. This would be the first one that I'm cutting, blah, blah, blah. So that makes sense to me. So again, thanks for watching. This should be ready to go. I also earlier spoke about playing with the lead in and lead out. So if I double click on this, some of these didn't have good lead in and lead outs. When let's go ahead and just calculate it and see it on screen. That's the problem with these videos, is I try to get through them quickly, and we see the A does not have lead in, lead outs on it. So I'm going to go to the 2D view, open that, and I'm going to work on, this is after the nest is created. It's already placed where I want it. And there was another one too that probably had it. But I want to play with 2 different things. I need to have lead in and lead outs on this outside of the perimeter cut of the A, but also on the inside. So I'm going to, when I select this with the left button of the mouse, it's grabbing the inside as well because they were grouped together. That makes sense because we want this inside piece to move. If I nest this or rotate this, I want those to move together. But at the very last step, after I've got the nest where I want, I'm going to hit the right button after I've highlighted and ungroup the objects back down to the original layers. So now if I click on the outside, same spot on the A, it just grabs the outside of the A. So I'm going to go to node mode, hit the right button, and go to node mode, and I can insert a point. There's all kinds of different ways you can do it. I'm going to insert a point, and then that point I'm going to hit the right button and make that the start point. Now, if I just do that and recalculate it, nothing else, that'll now have a, I didn't select it. So if I double click on it, it's going to show I've got everything selected other than the A, because I ungrouped it. It's a new object. So now if I add the A to it by holding down the Shift key, this is just the perimeter of the A, and calculate it, it will have the lead in and lead out. And again, it's popping up the message saying something else didn't have it. But there's a lead in and lead out. So now I need to do the same thing on the inside of that A. So I'm going to go back to the 2D view, because we only do the design work in the 2D view. The 3D view is used to see what we've already processed. So I'm going to double click on it. I've got this, and then I'm going to do this, and let's see what it does with the inside of the A. It could be set up in the wrong direction, or I may need to add a starting point to it. We're just going to look at it and see. So it didn't do one there because it's too close to the corner. It can't do the swoop in and swoop out. So let's go back to the 2D view. I'm going to get into node mode here on it, just on that inside piece, hit the right button, go back to node mode, or I can hit the N button and see how it's starting in the corner. That's why I can't do it. So let's just create a point here, insert a point, and then make this the starting point. I'm going to back out, and I'm going to let it select everything that I had. So it's just made the starting point from here in the corner to here. No other changes, and then we calculate it. And again, we don't have the B done. And now we're swooping in and out there, and on the A, on the S, on this, on the C, on the N. Again, the B is not showing up yet. So this is how we do it. So it's very quick to go ahead and make those changes. So I'll do the same thing with the B. While I'm not in the toolpath, when I select the B, it's just the outside the perimeter. That's correct. So I'm going to go into these, and I'm going to go into node mode. So I'm going to go into these and go into node mode, insert a point. I like the points to be on the straight part of it. That way you can easily do it. If I do it in the middle of a curve, that's fine, but it has to be able to still do it. It's coming in at a rotation, at a radius. So if I do it this way, it's a little cleaner. So now I'm going to select this, and holding down the Shift key, this and this. So all left button, holding down the Shift keys. I should have opened it up first. Now I'm going to add this and this and this to what it's already done before. Same parameters up top. Again, we'd add tabs. And I guess I can go through and show that, but let's do this first. I hate to do repetitive work that I've already shown in other videos, but I'll make this a short video just for this one. So we're good here, we're good here, we're good on the A on the inside, good on the S, good on the C, good on the S, good on the N, good on the B inside, but not outside. So that's the message that we missed. So I'm going to go back in and look at the setup here. And when I go to node mode, I don't even see it. Oh, here it is. There's no way it can start here on the inside. So I'm going to come here, hit the right button, insert a point, and then right button again, and make that the start point. And then when I double click on this, it was already doing the perimeter, but it couldn't get in here and do the swoop in and the lead in and lead out. Now that I've set it to be the starting point here, it will. And we shouldn't get that pop-up message about the lead in, lead out's clipped, or so it may have clipped one and shortened it. I don't see it initially, but it's probably here. So I can change that G to here. If I scroll in, it's probably clipped it here because of the spacing. So I'm going to move the one for the G to this straight area. Back to 2D mode, and touch the G, hit the right button, node mode. I can use this point, it's already straight enough. I'll make that the start point. And then click out, and double click again, and recalculate. And it's still clipping one of them, so it's shortening the lead in and lead out somewhere. Again, it may be here. I'm not going to worry about it. we get the point. I can examine it all I want, but this should work. So that's making the modifications needed, and then if we reset the preview, preview all, and then double click on the material itself after we've done a preview, it will get rid of the material, and I can click out and click out and click out. So that should show the letters as they were cut. Now, how do we add tabs? Let's go back into that. I'm going to go into the material again, turned on the 2D view, and I'm going to go back to my tool pathing that I've already done multiple times. How do we add tabs to hold these letters down? I'm going to click on the Add Tabs, and they're going to be 1 inch in length. That's the width of the tab as it's being held from the cut letter onto the material that's still there. How thick is the tab? I'll leave it at a 1/4 inch or so. I like to do 3D tabs. I think they work faster because the machine's going to come up to it and swoop up and swoop down rather than come to it, stop, raise up, go, stop, drop down, and go. So I prefer these. And then I hit the Edit Tabs button. Now, you can have it automatically put constant tabs on each part, or you can set it up. Depending on the material, I'm going to cut these off with an oscillating cutter with a straight edge on it, and I like to put the tabs on straight areas so that when I cut this thing, I can take that straight area, just bump it up against a belt sander, and get rid of the tab and clean it up. So I usually put them in manually, but you can also have it just add the tabs by itself. And we've told it to avoid corners, and so there's where it did. That's pretty good there. I'd put another one here, so I'm just going to click the left button. I like these, but they're not on the straight area, so I'm going to have to sand that on a curve, which is more difficult to do. So I'm going to hold down the left button on top of one of these and just drag it where I want. And I can leave the other one there or take it off. If I want to take it off, I click the left button. But overall, that's not bad. Again, it doesn't hurt to pop another one on the straight side edges of it. So I take that. I don't need it on the short end. It's kind of hard to get in here, but easy enough here. And again, this doesn't really have any straight edges except at the turning. So I'll add them there. I don't like this one. I can't get in there at all. I don't like this one, or I could have moved it to here. I like them on the outside of the curve, not the inside of the curve. They're easier to get to. And I'm just going on top of it and clicking. So that should do fine, just real quick. And again, I could put this here rather than in that curve, but it is on the outside, so it's easy to get to. So that puts my tabs down. So what is a tab? A tab is a bridge that connects the cut letter to the other material that's on the rest of the spool board. So we're going to close this down. And this was the tab that I bypassed in the earlier videos for multiple effects. So we're going to have that turned on this time, and then when we calculate it, it's going to add that to it. So now all those material parts are going to be connected to the 4x8 sheet still. I'll go back to the 2D view. Let's let it look at it. 3D view. Refresh the preview, and then preview all, and now it will have the tabs. So if I zoom in, we will see in the bottom view, the top view, I don't remember where exactly I put them, but I can see them. There's the tabs there, the little bridge to the material. Now, if I double click on the waste material, it will not cut it off because that's all connected to my cut letters. So I would leave it like that, and I can't double click it and just have the letters show up. And see, here is probably where one of them was truncated because that's too close to the big C when it nested inside of it. So if I don't want to have to manually go in there and change it, I can change my nesting parameters. I'm jumping around on this video because it's going to be a short one, and just give better spacing to the letters. I only did a 1/2 inch clearance between the letters, but I've told it to go in with a 2 inch radius and a 1 inch drop for that lead in and lead out. So again, I can control my spacing and the nesting here and redo it, but we get the idea. Everything is cuttable. But if you wanted to move something rather than redo the whole nest, I can just highlight that one piece, use the arrow keys to nudge it away, and make whatever changes you want, recalculate, and that should make the changes that we've made. I think everything here looks okay. maybe tight here, but again, we get the idea. The idea is to teach how to do it, not to do it for you all the way. So if I wanted to do this, I can just come down. Again, I can hit calculate here, or I could have just come here to recalculate all tool paths, and it would have done everything that we had. The tool cutting, we see the material thickness for the following sheet. Yep, 2.77 out of 0.75 thickness, or whatever thickness you had. Yes, all tool paths were successfully recalculated. So we're not having the error about it clipping, because now this S is far enough away where it was starting on the 3D view. If we go to it and refresh it and then preview all where it was starting, it's got room to do it and not interfere with the border cut of the other letter. So there's our lead in and lead out. And that little part right here, 4, was in this cut line. So that didn't work. And there's our tabs, everything's showing up the way we want. So saving it all, save it to the G-code file, get it to the machine, make your products. Thanks again for watching. This is Eric Schiller, 205-871-6618. So that's the phone number, 205-871-6618. Sales at YetiSmartBench.com. Happy to help you in any way I can.